I'm reading next to Warhammer 40k's Imperial Fists by the Templin Institute. As always, I'm going to be leaving the link to the original video and channel down in the description below, so go ahead and make sure that you check them out. Real quick, if you hear a little buzzing sound in the background from time to time, just know that I still don't know what it is. I'm trying to still figure that out. So, as far as with the Imperial Fists, we know that the Black Templars are descendants from them, and that the Imperial Fists were considered of the ones who were the most veteran of that chapter, and that the Crimson Fists were the more optimistic and young ones, and obviously the most zealous, fanatical were the Black Templars. And I've been hearing that name come up several times throughout the different chapters we've been looking at, so figured why not have one directly on it. And we haven't seen one from the Templin Institute in a while. I like how they have their own background music that makes it look very epic, but also very enjoyable to watch. So, and for those of you wondering if I'm going to release more gameplay for Space Marine, I just scheduling has been kind of an issue at this point. I will be getting some gameplay either tomorrow or sometime this weekend. Just know it's going to be a little bit longer, so think of that one more as like a not podcast, but just know that it's going to be a little bit longer than a normal gameplay video, where I typically try to keep it to about an hour to 40 minutes. So expect that here pretty soon, and let's go ahead and just get right into the video. But before we do, don't forget to like, subscribe. It really does help me out a lot. Hit that notification bell right there, and we get notified every time I do upload. Sometimes only twice a day. Now working on them in the evenings and releasing them early the next day. That way when y'all wake up, you have a fresh new video first thing in the morning. So without further ado, let's go ahead and see what the Imperial Fists are all about.
Every battle brother within the Adeptus Astartes has been transformed into something more than human. Implanted with an ancient gene seed, they become stronger, faster, beyond the touch of plague or any natural disease. They can suffer wounds that might shred a normal man to pieces, only to rise and fight once more. Clad in ancient power armor and wielding the most effective weapons known to man, there are few beings in the galaxy who can endure the wrath of but a single Space Marine. It was inevitable then, that when entire armies were mobilized from such warriors, they became the most impressive and renowned forces in the galaxy. Of the 20 original Space Marine legions raised by the Emperor of Mankind, all have become famous or infamous in their own right. Although exemplary in every form of warfare, each became devoted to a specific craft or style of battle. It was for this reason that when nearly half the Space Marine legions turned traitor and the Imperium of Man was split asunder, there was but a single, obvious choice for which must defend the capital of the Emperor's greatest work.
Also, I've heard that the Imperial Fists are supposed to be the ultimate guys that you want in the defense type scenario. And I believe I said this in the other video as well, where the Black Templars are still supposed to be descendants of the Imperial Fists, and Hell's Reach, where Grimaldus, I mean, at this point, I kind of sound like a scratch record, but Grimaldus didn't want to be in a defensive position at Hell's Reach. He wanted to be out in orbit, taking the fight to the orcs. And yeah, I know I've said that a few times, but just little things that keep repeating in my mind to understand better what I'm watching.
The traitors who served the ruinous powers descended upon the walls of the Imperial Palace. They found the bulwarks, bastions, and trenches guarded by the finest of mankind's defenders.
All led by Dorn. I know stuff, see? I remember at times.
Imperial Fists. Every Space Marine legion was shaped not only from the will and intellect of the Emperor, but the character of their respective Primarch. Genetically engineered transhuman sons of the Emperor, the Primarchs were intended to lead a great reconquest of man's lost dominions both on Earth and across the galaxy. Each was instead scattered across the warp by the machinations of the ruinous powers before they reached maturity, a desperate attempt by the gods of chaos to subvert the Emperor's plans. While the Primarchs themselves were lost to him, the Emperor preserved genetic templates, and from these he created the first Space Marines.
Also, real quick, I've been thinking about it. So since the Emperor hadn't told his, I mean, I still kind of am iffy on the time frame, but as far as the Emperor not wanting anyone else to know about chaos, obviously to not maybe help spread it, I believe the reason was, but I mean, also for a different amount of reasons. But the biggest thing that I've been thinking recently is, how does anyone know if the Chaos Gods, the fact that they did all this and like really corrupted like Horus, and the other Primarchs that ended up turning traitor, were they afraid? I mean, I don't know if afraid is the right word, or were they somewhat worried that the Emperor was actually succeeding in his fight against them? And obviously they were trying to slow him down or completely get rid of him, because he was able to maybe, I don't know if hurt them, but put some damage on them. Or if it's just in a matter that they're just doing this because that's what they do, being gods of chaos.
While mere shadows of their Primarchs, they were still magnificent warriors, more than capable of subduing the tyrants who had drowned terror in madness and petty ambition. It was from the gene seed of the Primarch who had become known as Rogel Dorn that the 7th Legion was created. While many of the other legions recruited only from a particular source or territory, the 7th was raised from the whole of Terra. Only those with the greatest capacity for endurance in both mind and body survived their transformation, for the process used to activate their Primarch's gene seed was particularly excruciating. Campaigns against the cities of the Crystal Sea, the witchery of the Windcaller clans, and countless other techno-barbarian tribes imparted on the 7th Legion a particular method of warfare. To the 7th, mere victory was not enough. Armies could be defeated, strongholds torn down, beliefs broken, but still a conquered territory might one day revolt against the Emperor. To truly conquer, that which was taken must be held in perpetuity. In the wake of the 7th Legion's advance, first on Earth and later across a multitude of worlds, there arose mighty fortresses and new dominions. The 7th Legion's Space Marines were equal parts warrior, engineer, and Castellian. They brought not only victory, but newly ordered realms within which the Emperor's dream of a united humanity could flourish. These early conquests were described by onlookers as if the hand of the Emperor had descended and gripped with an unbreakable fist. This description of service done by the 7th Legion was embraced by the Emperor himself, naming them the Imperial Fists by personal decree.
Alright, so from what they sounded like not only are they going into I guess this is also where that whole being good at a defensive position really comes into play, where that even though after they conquer territory, it's not that they, hey, let's move on. It's like, no, we're going to start building structures. I think someone said it in the comments too, that they actually, them and some other chapters, after taking over an area, they actually have thoughts and think about rebuilding stuff and actually helping them to kind of help bring them in. And I guess, in a sense, win the minds and hearts of the people, right? And also, I guess that would kind of help squash any rebellion, which obviously would probably always be there, depending if they had, because they had just been conquered, but be willing to try to integrate them. And I guess in a sense try to help them. But then again, everything with Warhammer kind of has a darker side to it. So, and the Imperial Fist. So that's where kind of the name came from.
Exactly how long the lost Primarch of the Imperial Fists lived his early years while his legion fought on Earth has long since been lost in myth. Yet it was clear that the Imperial Fist's inclination towards order and structure originated in part with Rogel Dorn. Unyielding, idealistic and honest at times to a fault, Dorn had raised the icy world of Inward to a capital of an interstellar empire. When the Emperor's great crusade to reconquer the galaxy first reached Dorn's adoptive home, the Primarch reunited with his father at the helm of an enormous starship known as the Phalanx. Immediately recognizing his father, Rogel Dorn knelt in fealty, bestowing to the Emperor not only his loyalty, but vassalage of the star-spanning society he had established. In turn, the Primarch was gifted the Legion created with his own genetic material, and the Phalanx transformed into the mobile fortress monastery of the 7th Space Marine Legion. Within the Great Crusade, the Imperial Fists achieved innumerable triumphs. Rogel Dorn in particular was said to possess the finest military mind of any of his brother Primarchs, ordered and disciplined, yet inclined to flashes of zeal and inspiration. The 7th Legion became the masters of siegecraft, whether on the attack or defense. Even the War Master Horus, first and most favored among the Emperor's sons, remarked that if he were to besiege a fortress designed by Dorn and held by the 7th Legion, the battle would become a never-ending stalemate. When Horus turned again...
Holy shit, the fact that even Horus wouldn't want to go against them in terms of them being in a defensive position and besieging really speaks leaps and bounds as to what the Imperial Fists are capable of and were capable of. Really sad to see, though, kind of what happen later on. I mean, if you haven't seen Baltimore's Guide to Warhammer Black Templars, Imperial Fists don't necessarily have, not necessarily a nice ending, but like a nice outcome when the whole Iron Cage fiasco happened. So
Emperor and embrace the temptations of the gods of chaos, the Imperial Fists were already on their way to Terra. The Legion had been named the Emperor's personal guard, and Dorn was in the midst of completing the Imperial Palace. His designs would be put to the ultimate test as the traitor legions descended upon the solar system, intent on destroying the Emperor and the Imperium along with it. The Imperial Fists conducted a masterful defense against impossible odds, making the traitors pay for every inch taken from the outer perimeter of the Pluto defense sphere, to the forges of Mars, and eventually to the holy ground of Terra itself. Together with their loyalist brothers in the Blood Angels and White Scar legions, the Imperial Fists put up a fanatical defense within the palace. But with the collapse of the capital's still unfinished defenses seemingly inevitable, Dorn and several companies of his finest warriors joined the Emperor in a counterattack on Horus' flagship, the Vengeful Spirit.
was that part right there? Was that where Sigismund from the? I mean, because obviously the Black Templar video and Imperial Fists are going to have some similarities. Is this when Sigismund was put as a champion? When the Emperor and the Imperial Fists, and I believe there's one other person I can't remember right now, where they teleported onto the actual bridge. I really hope I'm not remembering that wrong, but this does kind of sound like that type of instance. Also, I like the fact that they're using shield. I don't know why. I feel like they're the only ones I've seen have them.
The final confrontation between the Emperor and his fallen son echoed into eternity and sent shockwaves across the warp. It fell to Dorn to discover the body of his fallen Emperor and the corpse of his brother Primarch, Sanguinius. With Horus dead, the traitors scattered, and the Emperor's shattered body entombed within the Golden Throne, Rogel Dorn sought vengeance across all the fallen worlds of the galaxy. The Imperial Fists hunted down the remnants of the traitor legions, part of a merciless campaign known as the Great Scouring. Seeking to atone for their failure to protect the Emperor, the Legion besieged a chaos stronghold known as the Iron Cage. This was a hateful construct of endless fortune.
Oh god, I can already see where this is going. It hurts right here, man. Especially at the time when I figured out that Rogel Dorn set this up. I mean, then again, the way it all happened, especially from people commenting, it's very, I don't know, it's just one of those weird things where Rogel Dorn had done this to prevent another civil war from occurring, something that maybe the human race wouldn't have been able to come back from. At least Sigismund came out of it, you know?
And trenches defended by the Iron Warriors, a traitor legion that had always claimed to be the Seventh's equal in the art of siegecraft. Only through the intervention of the Ultramarines were the Imperial Fists spared a war of attrition that would have ruined them. When he returned to Terra, Dorn was furious to discover that his legion was to be split into smaller formations, part of a new Imperial Reformation.
Maybe that wasn't it. Okay, because he just said right now that he came back and that he's in a he's furious from the fact that he's going to have to split his legion. Okay, so maybe it's going to happen in a little bit right now then.
Formation known as the Codex Astartes. With the specter of another great rebellion looming over the shattered Imperium, many thought the Space Marine legions too powerful. They were to be broken down into chapters of no more than 1,000 warriors, a move supported by many of the surviving loyal Primarchs. Dorn was initially not among them, only relenting when he realized his self-imposed quest for vengeance had blinded him to wisdom. From the Imperial Fists, the 7th Space Marine Legion, there arose the Black Templars, Iron Knights, Crimson Fists, Hammers of Dawn, and dozens of other successor chapters. Rogel Dorn, now master of the Imperial Fist chapter, embraced all aspects of the Codex Astartes, retraining his battle brothers to its every dictate. It was in the...
I mean, they did mention the Iron Cage stronghold, not the trap. But I'm assuming that it would later on be called the trap after he avoided that civil war by sending his guys there. So Iron Cage was the name of the trap, but also the name of the stronghold were the Iron Warriors. Yeah, they really didn't get into too much detail with that. I thought they would have mentioned Sigismund. See, look, I remember some stuff. Some stuff. Maybe not accurately all the time, though.
It was in the first Black Crusade of Abaddon the Despoiler that the Imperial Fists lost their Primarch. In a fate that echoed that of his father, Rogel Dorn was last seen aboard a traitor battleship, leading a desperate attack on its command deck. All that was recovered of his body was a single fist, returned to the phalanx where it still remains. The Hand of Dorn has been the chapter's holiest icon, a reminder of the sacrifice and commitment necessary for the Imperium to endure. For 10,000 years, the Imperial Fists have been the Imperium's most stalwart defenders. Entirely fleet-based, they have eschewed a traditional chapter homeworld in favor of the Phalanx. It is from here that the chapter master and his command staff oversee the 10 companies and the auxiliary and support units that currently comprise the Imperial Fists. Additional formations include the Imperial Fists Space Fleet, which can muster numerous strike cruisers, battle barges, and star forts. During the Great Crusade and Horus Heresy, the fleet of the 7th Legion was amongst the largest in the Imperium, and the lineage of that great armada can still be felt. While always on the move, the chapter maintains a network of fortress chapels on a variety of planets across the Imperium. These are typically garrisoned by veterans wounded so grievously that they are no longer able to fight at their full effectiveness. It is from these bastions that the chapter seeks out potential initiates, holding tournaments or even instigating conflicts among the local population to determine who might be worthy. Rogel Dorn famously said that he wanted recruits, not vassals. And so, these fortress chapels exert no political right over the worlds they occupy, nor make any demands of its people. Like most chapters, the Imperial Fists embrace combined arms in flexible, balanced battle groups, each capable of matching a variety of threats. While they do not purposely seek out any specific battleground over any other, the chapter is uniquely suited to the art of the siege. They are utterly immovable in the defense and able to pinpoint weaknesses and apply relentless pressure when on the attack. This single-mindedness has on many occasions, however, led to far greater casualties, with the Imperial Fist suffering losses other chapters would never accept. This has sustained the chapter's legendary reputation, but in multiple instances has nearly driven the chapter to extinction, most notably during the War of the Beast. In many ways, the entire chapter is still driven by the memory of their defense.
This little baby thing right here, I saw it in Hell's Reach. People were telling me that it was a servitor, but I was thinking like, it's a baby. I mean, obviously, Warhammer 40k universe. And also, they're really hitting home this defensive type position, which an 03 in the Marine Corps, specifically 0311, you're going to be digging into the defense. Not only, like, you have no idea how much a defense actually sucks. Not to mention just, I mean, I don't know what kind of defensive positions they take. But as far as with us, you know, we're usually digging into the ground, digging what was it called? Just think of it as a quick fighting hole. Like, we'll dig deep enough with a little E-tool until we could be prone and lie flat and still be able to provide cover. So we got one person in every hole. Sometimes we might do two holes working together, have one person on security. Other people are digging, trying to get the hole even deeper. So you can actually be able to stand in it and only really have about like here showing. And then have like a little space behind you. You can put your pack and stuff. And then the amount of frustration as soon as you hit bedrock, which is usually about 2, maybe 3 feet going in down. It's annoying because then you can't really dig further. Or you can, but it's going to take a hot minute. Now, I've never met anybody who ever dug a good hole to not only be able to have it deep enough so we can provide good security, but also well enough in a position where you can also try to camouflage the fighting hole. So imagine me, right? I'm in 29 Palms, I'm in a fucking desert, and I'm trying to find vegetation in the desert to try to cover up my hole, make it less noticeable. And I mean, it's hot, it could be windy. It'd be the shittiest part is if it's raining, because obviously it's a fucking hole. It's going to get all that water building up in the bottom. We got a little grenade slump where it's like a little hole inside our hole. So in case if a grenade went in there, we would throw it in there so it wouldn't blow up on us. What else? We had 7 sandbags, I believe. Get ourselves a little sector of fire and making sure that each hole has interlocking sectors of fire, ensure that no one could ever try to sneak past or in between us. And the defense, man, it sucks. It could be like 3 a.m. and they'll call out stand 2, and then they'll have everybody back in their hole, everybody pulling security until they say otherwise. Now, I did this also as well in Syria. It wasn't as bad because we dug into a berm. Man, I mean, not only that, the boredom really kills you. That's enough about the defense. I feel like I'm going off on a big tangent, but I'm very curious to see if you guys would be down for me to actually talk about a little more on the defense, because there's a lot of information, a lot of experiences that actually come with that. Not to mention, if you're an 0331 or machine gunner, I've had 2 of you guys take my hole, which I know how weird that sounds, but you've taken my fighting hole, and I've had to go dig another one. So, fuck you.
Of the Imperial Palace during the Siege of Terror. Their martial culture is defined by the epic struggle between order and disorder, embracing ritual and ceremony. Even in battle, they are driven and focused, dedicated to fastidiousness and a meticulous attention to detail. This has materialized in the chapter's near obsession with scrimshawing, the carving of intricate details and patterns into bone. The Hand of Dorn itself has been scrimshawed, with the heraldry of every subsequent chapter master, and many brothers wear the scrimshawed bones of fallen comrades. They are also uniquely devoted to the Pain Glove, a steel framework that leaves its wearer in complete agony. New recruits might be forced to wear the Pain Glove as a punishment, while veterans employ it as a form of meditation. Through these activities, the Imperial Fists have honed their unequaled spiritual and mental endurance. Such qualities are needed in the defenders of the Imperium now more than ever before. With the fall of Cadia, an incursion by demonic forces on the soil of holy...
I know you already know I'm not going to skip over that line, or any mention of Cadia.
Terror itself and the galaxy torn asunder. There is little doubt that mankind has entered the time of ending. It is a moment that Rogel Dorn must have known might come, for even as the ashes of the Horus Heresy still fell across the galaxy, he laid down the foundations for a secret order. In the event that the very existence of the Imperium of Man was threatened, if Holy Terror were attacked or even occupied, then the Codex Astartes was to be cast aside. By the command of their long-vanished Primarch, the successor chapters of the Imperial Fists would reunite, and the 7th Legion reformed. In doing so, they would bring the might of an entire Space Marine Legion unseen for millennia against any who might imperil mankind's dominance over the galaxy. The Last Wall, as this command is known, has only been activated once before, and the time may finally be right for the order to be given once again.
Alright, let's go ahead and talk about that for a minute. So, Imperial Fists. The whole Iron Cage thing, I kind of don't know what happened there. I think it was just that they want to give kind of really a basic overview as far as the chapter itself. And that part about the defense, I know I went into a little rant about it. There's just a lot of shitty times. And just that last little part where I said about machine gunners taking my fighting hole was that since they got a 240 compared to 2 little M4s in that fighting hole from me and my buddy, they kind of get first, not first dibs, but they get priority as to the position that they're going to be taking. So, been 2 times where I specifically had to dig a hole, another fucking fresh hole, and it's annoying. I mean, I completely understand the reasoning, but it's really annoying. At least in my personal opinion as well. As far as if it comes to a defensive or a offensive type tactic or mission, for example, I mean, for myself, I can speak in training. I preferred a lot more urban fighting. I always headed anything that was trench based or just long distance, because it's typically a lot of long distance, mainly because there is no cover, so you're having to go around either bends, hills, through wadis, and it's a pain in the ass, man. That's why I would prefer to mount training. Back to the Imperial Fist, I wanted to kind of learn more about their shield as far as how they employ it, and also I've been looking at because I did a reaction video on the bolter, and I know that I've seen one about power armor, I've seen one about the chainsword. Crusade, there's one about the shield as well. because I kind of want to get an idea of what the gear itself looks like, specifically for the Space Marines. And right here, pretty soon, within the next couple weeks, probably closer to the end of this month, I'm going to start transitioning from Space Marine to the Imperial Guard. So, I mean, if you made it this far, now you know that that little transition is going to be coming up here pretty soon. So I already got a few favorites of the ones that I really want to watch. The Core Krieg, the Catachans, and the Jungle Fighters. It's going to be really fun getting that nice little transition. And kind of get like fresh new taste of what else is going on in the Warhammer universe. And then after a while as well, after that, we'll move on to the next little section. I don't know if I'll stay within the human race, if I'll switch maybe to Orcs, Tyranids, Necrons. I've heard Necrons are pretty good just because they're more like right there at the beginning. So yeah, now you know. I'm gonna leave it in this at the end of this video, just so for those who watched it till the end, you get that little snippet at the end. So that's gonna go ahead and do it for this video though. Don't forget to like, subscribe, really does help me a lot. Hit that dislike button if you didn't like it. If you're curious to see what's coming out next, check the description down below. You're gonna see a list of about 5 videos. Top to bottom is gonna be how I view them. But until then, I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.